Welcome to Olango, a group of islands found 5 kilometers away from Mactan, Cebu. Here you'll find locals selling fresh fish on the side of the road, fishermen on boats, and townsfolk crafting lamps out of seashells. The simple life. The island's 41,000 residents rely on nature for their needs, including energy. Mangroves and waterways separate each of the islets of Olango, which make bringing power from the mainland to the barangays a great challenge. Because of this, solar power has become a great alternative. At the Olango Island Wildlife Sanctuary, home to rare migratory birds, renewable energy, and animal conservation work hand in hand.
Anong solar panel inyong ginagamit?
Ang gusto sa kuan sa opisina nga solar kay parang way saba kanang way hayag ug nanagoy mga suga dito maabot na to sa kanang viewing deck tanga tog suga ang height maghayag na kayo ang mausab ang kuan mausab ang flight sa langgam.
Ngano day kung mausab ang flight?
Masaag na sila.
With solar, the sanctuary doesn't need to buy gas for generators, or pay for electricity, or even set up overhead transmission lines. This means less noise pollution and a safe and free flyway for the birds. In return for this piece of heaven, the birds do their part in times of disasters.
Katupag Odette ni gamay ba ang pagbisita sa mga langgam or
Ang mga langgam mao'y unang nakibaw. Kung ano ba kanang lupad mo sila ibabaw na tutuyog ba. Nagsige na tong kuan nga kanang bantay mo kay naay bagyong kusog nanay warning ba sa this barangay. Mao na tong signalas ko anday langgam ba. Batsi na sila.
Yung birds, sila din nagko-control ng mga insekto doon sa ating mga palayan. For example, no, kumbaga may natural role sila sa ating ecosystem to help or to keep our ecosystems in balance, no, sa habitat nila kung saan sila nandoon. Yung pag-protect ng ating ng natural habitat natin, for example sa mga mangrove areas natin, like for example sa Olango Islands, may mga benefits din ito sa not only for wildlife. For example, yung birds natin, ginagamit nila yung mangroves as roosting areas, or doon sila nagtutulog, or doon sila nag-take ng shelter. Pero kung iisipin natin, yung mga mangrove areas na yan din yung mga nagpo-protect sa atin, sa communities natin, sa human settlement, sa mga storms, storm surges, no? At na ma-minimize yung or medyo ma-lessen yung lakas ng mga alon.
In 1971, the Ramsar Convention for Wetlands of International Importance was established. And this international treaty set the rules for the conservation and sustainable use of Ramsar sites, or these wetlands. In 1994, the Olango Island Wildlife Sanctuary became part of the list of these Ramsar sites, these wetlands that are considered critical habitats for rare migratory species. We're here in Panganan Island, which is covered by the Olango Island Wildlife Sanctuary, to see how the locals thrive by using solar power energy to make not only their lives sustainable, but efficient as well.
In Panganan Elementary School, naana jud ni siya solar, but cannot suffice the entire school. We tapped many stakeholders actually. And then last January 22, we are very much grateful because OIWS Foundation Incorporated gave us a 10 kVA solar, which is natanan na jung eskwelahan, elementary and high school, nakasiga na jud. Nanay kuryente, makagamit ng mga gadgets, makaprint na which is comfortable na sad ang mga bata. Mao na karon, if you can see in our classroom, maka-TV na jud mi. Dili na mi mapagngan. Bisan pag magkilom-kilom ang adlaw, maglain ang panahon, wala na jud siya. Dili na gid mo shutdown ang
Sa una di
electricity.
ay rotation.
Sa una, yes sir. In terms like for example, kana ganing mo maglain ng panahon, 8 to 9 a.m. pa lang wala na may kuryente. In terms of expenses, wala mi diri sa Panganan Elementary School, wala jud mi gibayran bisag piso for electricity. Unlike other schools, they are paying I think thousands of pesos. But because if you will use solar, it's environment friendly, makatabang pa sa environment, and then although it's costly in terms of maintenance, but I think it takes 3 to 5 years pa man sad. If you will just use it wisely and then tarungon la gamit, you can use the solar gyud 24 hours.
Panganan has quite a history with solar power. The Panganan Solar Electrification Project was initiated in 1998 as a joint undertaking of the governments of Belgium and the Philippines. The project aimed to provide Panganan's 250 homes with light through solar electricity. Unfortunately, after 15 years of operations, it's become a graveyard to at least 500 dead solar panels.
Pagka 2013 gyud na off gyud ang among kuno na siya mag-operasyon tungod sa iyang power ning expire na.
Nabay mga mo ayo unta ana.
Giplanohan ta na mo nga ang iyang kuan ipa-refill no. Unya mas dako man og gasto god ang refill sa battery. Mo na nga mo abot gid og mga 8 million to 10 million ang refill mo na siya nga kuan. Kay lahi ugod ang design sa battery ang kuan niya. Mo na nga ang among pundo murag wa kabot og milyon na kay nakuha na ba.
For years, government agencies and nonprofit organizations have sponsored and donated solar power systems to residents to help with their daily energy needs. While some families are able to use the donated solar panels for the long term, others usually end up with dead solar panels after 5 years of usage. Because of this, some of the locals utilize gas-powered generators that produce both noise and air pollution. For many of Olango's islets like Panganan, it's difficult to get repairs for things like solar panels. To find a technician, residents must travel 20 to 30 minutes from one islet to the other to reach the main seaport. Only then can they take another boat ride to the city to eventually get their solar panels fixed. However, the islanders face a bigger problem.
In the household level, we produce e-waste from our cell phone, from our gadgets, from our TVs, and from our batteries. So we have to know how to dispose them. Once you mix it in the general way, especially in landfill, the landfill causes methane gas more potent than the carbon dioxide. If you look at what happened to the payatas, for example, people died immediately, not because they are buried by the dump of the waste, but because of methane gas. There are still the panels in that island, Panganan. There are still the batteries, and there are still those old destroyed gadgets over there because they don't know where to dispose, and the people also can't dispose because they're afraid maybe they will be sued or be accountable. It has to be disposed properly, especially the batteries and the e-waste, and you have to have cost to transport them. And if you dispose that to a proper e-waste disposal, then you have to pay. So who's gonna pay for that, right?
International energy groups have already projected the global cumulative waste of solar power technology to go from 8 million tons in 2030 to 78 million tons in 2050. Based on a report from the Harvard Business Review, recycling a solar panel can cost between 1,000 pesos to 2,000 pesos, but only around 100 pesos to send a panel to a landfill. Olango's local government is mostly guided by the Ecological Solid Waste Management Act of 2000 for its management and disposal of solid waste. There isn't a clear e-waste law yet, especially as it remains pending in Congress. Due to a lack of funding and logistical problems, Olango's solar panels may very well end up in the island's landfills.
Mota namin ninyo kung naabatay ka ng waste management nga strategy para sa pag-take care aning mga panels in kasog di na magamit, nabay ingon ana ang sa Olango.
Yes, doon tayong mga ikuang segregate na to address ang atong mga waste ko andre. At about anang giingon nimo sa solar, doon sa gibutang niya sa MRF.
And ang kaning segregation almost every day gina sa gagakuan.
Diri sa Olango, not daily, I think 3 times a week. Tapos ang irobing pa man itong solid waste,
Right.
then pundok na nasa pa, ang MRF na pick up sa atong mga
Sa kaning pagpadayon nga paglain sa panahon, pagpundok sa mga basura, makaingon pa ba ta nga napay pag-asa ato ang environment?
Ang kana og masolve lang kuan, masolve lang problema. Napagilangga mo pabilin. Amo man protektahan gud ang kuan. Diha. Santuari protektahan na namo kay naami mo trabaho, naami mo nang nabuhi among pamilya tungod na pong kuan santuari. Mo nang amo ginang protektahan.
As more Olangohanons opt out of gas-powered generators in exchange for solar power, observers note an increase in bird sightings in the island's sanctuary. Since 2022, the International Waterbird Census has seen an increase in bird populations passing through the Philippines through the East Asian-Australian Flyway. The Olango Island Wildlife Sanctuary is one of the significant stopovers found along this flyway. While this is a welcome sign, with no nearby solar panel maintenance stations and no proper e-waste disposal policy, Olango may be left with yet another graveyard of dead panels and an even bigger public health problem if the waste continues to pile up. The challenge of the country's clean energy transition remains, ensuring that last-mile communities like Olango are not left behind. With Jacqueline Hernandez, I'm John Sitchon, Rappler, Olango, Cebu.